Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Season 3 of the Common Time Podcast. We're so glad to have you here to continue bringing our conversations, insights, and inspiration for music educators everywhere.
Each week, we'll highlight voices from across the music world and share ideas that you can bring directly into your classroom and to your ensembles. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Last week, John interviewed me, and this week, we've decided that I'm going to interview John. Some of you have reached out asking to know more about us, and this is just an opportunity for us to share. And so I want to talk about John, who is the director of the Michigan Marching Band, obviously. He's a conductor, clinician, author, pedagogue, a truly my best friend in the world, and a person that I care deeply about, not just as a person, but as someone that I look up to and respect. So, John, welcome.
Thanks, David. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
This is going to be fun. All right. So I want to ask you, what is like an early musical experience that still influences your instincts in rehearsal today?
That's an excellent question. My beginning band experience, I still remember it. Mrs. Newstetter. I was in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. This was in 5th grade. And, I didn't really think about band. It just happened to be all of my friends were doing it. And so they all started playing the trumpet. So I asked if I could play the trumpet. Although if anyone can see my physiology, that's the worst possible instrument you could put me on because I have big lips. Anyway, so just like, yep, we're going to go in there. And so I remembered we would do pullouts because this was in the elementary school still. So
Right.
so the teacher would come and pull out the trumpet section, and we would kind of learn the instruments and stuff like that. But the first time we all the sections got together, we were playing Anne McGinty's Foxwood Overture. Sorry about that.
Foxwood Overture.
I can still finger it. Bum 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 bum. Like I still got it, and I remember going, "This is one of the coolest things ever," and I just loved it. And that joy that I had. I mean, that was a formative moment for me. I've had a couple throughout my career that I attribute to where I'm at today, and that is obviously the first one musically, because I was just like, "This is just so cool," because. Um, as a kid, I have a terrible speech impediment, especially back then. And so playing my instrument, I realized really quickly that I could speak without having to use my voice, right? Because it was just easier. It isn't that I was ashamed of the speech impediment. Actually, not at all. It was just easier. It just took less effort, right? And so I was just like, this is just fantastic. So and so I still think about that, and I tell that story. I just told it a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact. So I am a band director today because of Anne McGinty's Foxwood Overture. Yeah.
That's incredible. We should have Anne McGinty on.
We should
Let her share this experience with her. So since you've talked about it, you have a speech impediment.
I do.
And obviously, I've seen you teach young students and get hung up on a word, but then use the students to fill in the word in such a genius way. Like it creates a rapport even. Can you, and I'm sure there's other individuals that have things like this that they've had to deal with throughout their careers, and it could be a setback, but for you, I could almost say it. I've watched you do this. I feel like it's who you are. It makes John. But how has that affected you? What have you had to do, throughout your career?
It's an excellent question. I mean, I kind of answer it like, I mean, if I don't have to call an ambulance for you, it's all going to be just fine.
That's true.
Anyway, but I have never thought of my speech impediment as a problem, not ever. And I attributed that, or I attribute that to a couple things. First of all, my parents were wonderful with this. They were always, I mean, they were like, this is not a setback for you. You can't use this as a crutch. So, I mean, I was put into very, very social situations as a kid, and I was forced just talk my way through it, and I do think that helped. They also told me that at the end of the day, it isn't my problem; it's everybody else's, right? So, I mean,
That's
I kind
great.
of think about that, but I'm also not a naive to think that, oh well, everyone just has to get over it. No, I truly believe you have to acknowledge it immediately so that people aren't uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
just there. It's just inevitable when you hear me speak enough. I mean, people say that after we've been around each other for a while, you can't even tell anymore. But at the beginning, you certainly can, right?
Mm.
And I think people are trying to be polite and kind and compassionate and empathetic, but they just don't know what to do, right? They're like, "Oh, this is a little awkward." But so I will like use some self-deprecating humor or just right away. And anyone that's ever seen me teach or lecture, or I mean, I hit it hard once at the very beginning, and then it's all just fine. So
Yeah.
it's a part of who I am. I'm actually thankful for it. At times it's exhausting. Oh, my word! Anyone that has a speech disfluency can understand this.
Yeah.
But it's just exhausting. Can I
No,
just not speak
you
today?
said exhausting. I remember we did that CBDNA web. What I can't
Yeah,
remember what it was, like a
yeah, webinar. Yeah,
webinar during COVID,
during
and we
COVID.
had all those pre-recorded parts that we did. And I remember you telling me afterwards that that was one of the most exhausting things that you have ever done, because just trying to record those things and make it flow. So
Yeah, well, because oftentimes when someone hears someone that stutters, you instantly think there's an intellectual problem, right? I've
mm,
been dealing with this my entire life. Now, it helps that I'm just not smart, so that just solves that problem right away, but there's some built-in uh, assumptions there, and
yeah.
so I mean, and I'm actually giving a TED talk. In March,
Mm,
which I'm honored to have been asked to ultimately do that. But it's going to be about about my career, but also kind of getting over this, you know. But at the end
mm,
of the day, people have it a lot worse than I do. Oh my word. There's a lot of suffering out there in so many different ways. I'm extremely privileged, extremely fortunate. I'm thankful every day for all of the
mm.
fortune that I experience. So for me, just to kind of get through it, I don't feel sorry for myself at all. And two, no one cares. Like, do your job, be
Yep.
a good person. If it takes me a couple extra minutes, we're good to go. I mean, I often offer to call the like football games at Michigan through the, be the
Right.
like play by play announcer, but they don't ever let me do it. I don't know why.
That's funny.
But my
uh,
students, though, going back to the point, I interact with them a lot in terms of this. Like, I'll just happen to be stuck on a word. I'm like, can someone just help me out? It keeps them engaged a lot. So I actually do that often, and sometimes I even fake it. Sorry for any of the students listening, but it just kind of keeps the conversation because they have to stay engaged. Yeah.
that's fantastic, John. So you're at Michigan.
Yes. Teach at
Um,
the University of Michigan.
the
Go Blue.
university. I want to talk to you about that, but let's
Mm.
first I kind of bridge the gap from Ann McGinty
Yeah,
to Michigan. Like that's a long journey.
it is.
Tell us where you how you started and how you ended up in Michigan.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I always wanted to be a teacher. I didn't know that I wanted to teach music, but I've always
Mm,
wanted to teach. I don't like some people say it's a calling. I don't know. I was just drawn to it. Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to teach. And so then I started playing my instrument and being in band, and I just found who I was in every way. I just loved music. I love teaching, and I'm like, why don't I just do this, right? And in my family, my father's a corporate executive, and or was while he was working. And I'll tell you, that was an interesting conversation in my junior year.
mm,
When we were sitting down having dinner, and they're like, "So, have you thought about career plans?" Like, it was almost assumed that I was going to go into uh, corporate America. I
mhm.
was like, I'm going to teach music. And they're like, you're gonna. I mean, you could hear the record player skip, right? And like, you're gonna do what? Anyway, but so I've just always wanted to. But the odd thing is I never wanted to teach college. All I wanted to do was be a middle school band director in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all I ever wanted to do. And so when I was in my undergraduate program, which is the second most formative time in my professional life in two parts. One, the a tuba teacher there, uh, Richard Murrow.
Mm-hmm.
He is like a second father to me, and he took me under his wing. And I mean, it was tough. There was some tough love there, but it was really formative. The other part to that, though, is my sophomore year, I was called into the dean's office, and I was a pretty good student. I'm like, what is going on here? And I go in there, and there were a couple professors in there, the dean and an attorney, which I thought was weird. And now it kind of makes sense, but at the time, I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Hmm.
So they told me that they thought that I should change my major because of my speech impediment. I would never be an effective teacher. And I've never been angry in my life, really. I'm coming to realize, like, I've been frustrated before. At that moment, there was a level of anger that was indescribable. I'll be
Wow.
honest. I walked out of that, and of course, I was very professional. But at the end of that, I actually walked out and I said, "Watch this,"
Yeah.
and that lit a fire under me like I can't even describe. And so at that moment, I was going to be like the best middle school band director that I could possibly be, right? Because that's all
Right.
that I wanted to do. I learned everything about every instrument. I mean, I took it really seriously. Had a fantastic a student teaching experience. The third most important part of my professional life is Cindy Lansford.
Mm-hmm.
I student taught with her. We had a fabulous conversation with her a couple years ago
Yep.
here, but
She's awesome.
she was formative for me. And then I was like, I love middle school. I'm doing this. So then I was hired at Griffin Middle School in the Colony, Texas. And I taught with some fabulous people, with Dick Clardy and Amanda Drinkwater. I followed John Benzer. I mean, it was a really good time to be there. One, I was thrown into the deep end of a pool, right? Going,
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. And I did that and I loved it. And then we were going to go to like graduate school together. And so I was like, you know what? I'll go back to school and so I can come back, teach
Yeah.
public school, and just be higher on the pay scale. I go to the University of Oklahoma, and I was like, wow, I can practice my instrument. I can study scores. I can read. I can, this is great. I'll stay and get a doctorate because I'm here, might as well. And then I'll go back and teach public school. Well, then I was hired at Michigan, and I have been here ever since. This is my 18th year here on the faculty. It's amazing, and I shouldn't be here. Uh,
Oh,
I,
you absolutely should be there.
well, we'll talk about imposter syndrome, I'm sure, because I have it pretty bad. But anyway, it's untraditional how I got here. I've had two like teaching jobs in my life. I taught middle school band, and I teach at
University of
Michigan.
Michigan.
So atypical for sure. But I am so fortunate to be able to work here with such fabulous students and faculty, and yeah, it's great, but it's not normal. I'll tell you that how I
Yeah.
got here.
Well, I mean, you frame it so beautifully. Like someone said no, and you said, "Watch this,"
Watch this.
which is incredible. Um, John, I have another question. Have you ever written a page of drill?
No, oh my word, no. I have never. It is funny because for anybody listening, my primary job is I'm the director of the marching and athletic bands at the
Right.
University of Michigan. I have never written an arrangement, not one, not as I've never, I've never opened Pyware. Never. I have never
I love
opened
it.
spyware, and I've never done an arrangement. And I was upfront about that because during the interview process with Michael Haycock, I'm like, look, Michael, I don't do these things. And he's like,
Yeah.
why should I hire you? I said, well, two reasons. One, I'm going to recruit students like you've never seen. And two, I'm going to raise a lot of money for the program. And all the other stuff too, right? But so that's
Yeah.
where my skill set is. So, but thankfully, I have a fabulous colleague, Richard Fry. He's
Mm.
genius, and he's really good at drill and arranging. and David's written for us, and Andy
I
Putnam
have.
and Scott Borma, whom I love dearly, my predecessor here actually. And so, yeah, I've never done that.
Yeah. So many memories just came back to me, John, because you mentioned OU, because we were supposed to go to school together
We
there.
were.
I was wrapping up my master's. You were going to come in and start your master's. I was actually building a house in Moore that we were going to share. I had
For the
the
listeners, that's
architect.
outside of Norman. Yeah,
Yeah, I had the architect change the bedroom sizes so that they were equal. So there wouldn't be like one primary bedroom.
it was so
And,
thoughtful.
and then I ended up at UTA as the interim associate there and went a completely different
Awesome.
direction. But I want to go backwards just for a second. Um, Actually, Scott, I remember at UTA getting the call from Scott Borma as a reference for you.
That's right.
And
That was
Scott, I had worked with Scott on arrangements, but I mean, I told him straight out, there's not a better person on the planet. You should hire him immediately. And I'm glad that he did
me too.
because like
Me too.
your legacy at Michigan, I think, is incredible, and it will live on
It's so
as
weird to
an
say that.
incredible. Isn't it crazy that
It's crazy.
18 years?
Yeah, so I'm the
Yeah,
second longest athletic director behind Ravelli, and for me to be in the same company as that name, I have no business
yeah,
being anywhere near that name. But it's the Italians are taking over, right? So we're he and I. It's so strange.
yeah. So you sit in basically you rehearse in Ravelli Hall. You sit in Ravelli's office.
Chair, yeah.
So yeah, it's just incredible. I
I
love it.
actually use his scores when I on stage. I'll actually
Yeah,
use his mark scores, and I conduct sometimes with his baton, just because it's really pretty cool. I think,
yeah. It's
it's
awesome.
just
I'm so
history and legacy. What? It's crazy.
yeah. It's incredible. I am so happy that you're there. I'm just proud of you. I love you dearly. Um, I want to go a little different direction. I want to talk a little bit about teaching philosophy.
Yes.
And we've taught together for a long time, so I have a pretty good idea of what your philosophy is. But I'd like to dig into, has your philosophy of teaching evolved since you first started in the classroom to now? And what is, or has it not? Like, talk to me about that.
Great question. I think it has, and I think that it had to have changed.
Hmm.
I think I didn't have a choice when I was young, kind of like you, in a way, but I was even farther off the chart here in terms of it needs to be technically proficient. Whatever we're doing, it has to sound perfect. It has to do
Hmm.
all
Right.
of these things. I think where I'm at now, it's more the people over the process, which is like directly because of you and some other people in my professional and personal lives. But I do believe that it's people over process.
I love
My
it.
instructional philosophy is in two parts. One, the people having really strong relationships that are meaningful and professional, and that's able to create an environment, a laboratory of professionalism, to quote Professor Haycock, a laboratory of professionalism in an environment that is welcoming, that's supportive, that is going to push them artistically, that is
Mhm.
going to just inspire them to be the best person possible. And it's okay to fail. We've been talking about this for the last
Right.
couple of seasons, right? It's okay to fail, and in fact, that you can uh, actually to steal it from you, to fail forward is
Right.
such a critical part. So that is one pillar. The other pillar is, as a teacher, I have to be on top of every part of my instructional game. I have to know, like, there's no, uh, in my opinion, there's no way around the teacher not being absolutely proficient in the subject that they're teaching. So for us, teach the instruments.
Right.
Can you teach the instruments? It's easy. It's yes or no. If the answer is no, then I don't think you're like doing your students uh, a service to help them be better, right? So
Right.
you obviously have to kind of develop them and create a space where it's okay for them to explore. But if if there isn't content expertise, I think that's a significant problem. So I'm trying to balance those. because it's easy sometimes for us to be all content and no people, and I think that that's a backwards philosophy also.
Yeah.
So but the thing is like throughout my professional life so far, it ebbs and flows. I think it does for all of us, right? But I'm trying every single day to think about the people and the process, and that's where I'm at right now, at least.
Yeah. I love the people before process. I like that prioritization there. I'm curious when you think about other directors, because you obviously have graduate students that come through.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen many other teachers and grew up and taught in Texas for quite a while. I'm curious, what do you think most directors misunderstand about developing musicianship through ensemble? Does that make sense?
Sure does. I think that people often get stuck in the weeds. I
Hmm.
think for the quest for something to be technically perfect, which what we talked about in the past episode isn't ever going to be achieved because we aren't
Yeah.
a computer, right? So then, how do you get past that? I mean, it's perfect, great. Is it inspiring? Is it meaningful? Is it heartfelt? Is it compassionate? Does it speak to people? I mean, I think the people component is often missed. But then on the other side too, people take that way the other way, like just
Hmm.
this sound that is just gross, but it's
Yeah.
meaningful, right? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So
What
we'll
does
we'll
it
talk
mean?
we'll talk about this later in a pet peeve section, but I am gonna kind of tweak it now. A pet peeve of mine or soapbox is, well, that isn't a musical performance. I need you to explain that to me like I'm a kindergartner. What does the word musical performance mean? And I would
Right.
argue many of our colleagues don't have an answer for that.
Hmm.
And that I think we need to work on as a profession, right? Like, is it a balance of technical precision with artistry? Is it more artistry than technical precision? I mean, there has to be an answer, except for people that hear a really good band, let's say from the state of Texas. Well, it's a Texas band. They don't. There's no music there.
Hmm.
What does that mean? Like,
Right.
what does that mean? So I think that's where many people get it wrong. But
Yep.
you've got to be really good as a technical pedagogue. You have to be, but you
Yeah.
also have to get the art. And how you achieve that is something that actually I have learned from you, because you are just brilliant at this, being able to kind of meld the two pieces, and that's such an important part.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I'm looking forward to the pet peeve section now. I want to jump backward. You said the word imposter syndrome, and we did
Yes.
talk about it last week a little bit on my episode, but I'm curious. Tell me, you said you experienced it. Tell me how you dealt with it,
Hmm.
and what advice do you have for all of us out there that are still dealing with it?
Yeah, I mean, I experience imposter syndrome significantly and pretty much every day. I mean, I'm at a place where everyone is much smarter and more talented. And that is a truthful sentence. This isn't self deprecating. I mean, people here on the faculty at Michigan, even my students, my students are brilliant.
Right.
Like, I'm just going to color in the corner. I'm going to try to keep it in the line, you know, but,
The big crayons.
I mean, we have the best saxophone studio in the world. We have like one of the best composition studios in the world, best tuba euphonium studio. I mean, pick your thing. And you're looking around going, wow, Grammy, 6 Grammys, Oscar.
Mm,
I mean, you're just looking around and going, wow, this is such a vibrant and
right.
and kind of masterful a faculty to be a part of. And here's me, going, I like pizza, I play the tuba, but how I get over it is kind of like how I got through my speech impediment things. I'm like, look, I was hired for a specific reason. I, I know what I'm doing, so do it. And if
Yeah.
people don't like it, I mean, I just gave a gesture for people
Yeah, I
that.
was gonna say, yeah. For their listeners, there was a
I mean,
gesture.
it's look. I mean, are you going to please everybody? Nope. So then you just do what you do and do it really well and take it seriously, but not too much. I
Yeah,
mean, we have a saying in our office: it's just band. Now we want to be the best college band out there. Great.
right.
What does that mean, though? Do you want to perform well? Yes. Want to be good people? Yes. Do you want to teach students to patron art for the rest of their lives? Yes. Do you want to help them build the life skills to go change the world? Yes. All of those things. That's the best college band program to me. We aim to achieve that every single
Hmm.
day. But the imposter syndrome, for anybody feeling it, I sympathize with you. Please be sure to send me an email. I'm happy to kind of talk to you about this. It's look, you were hired for a specific reason. You're the content expert, and yes, you are good enough to be there. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to kind of doubt yourself. At least I tell myself that because I do it every day. But but it's. I also think it like makes me stronger in a way. It makes me more hyper focused. It like makes me. For me, I love the stress of the game, of the job. Right?
Yeah.
It's extremely visible. A lot of touch points. There's a lot of things that go into this, and I love that stress. It's a puzzle for me, and it just kind of pushes me. But that's how I ultimately get through imposter syndrome, is just to put my head down and just ram right through
You just go
it.
through it. Well, let's talk about that. So, your job is stressful.
Yeah.
There is a million pieces that have to all work together and function seamlessly. Um, and I'm sure there's people out there that's are no, not juggling as many things as you are, but they're juggling.
Sure.
How do you
Everyone
do it?
does it in their own way, for sure.
How do you do it? How do you keep this moving forward in a way that it it's a well-oiled machine? Because I've seen your program; it runs like a well-oiled machine. So,
Mhm.
what advice do you have for us that are out there not as
Yeah.
clearly moving forward?
I think for anyone that has questions about this, my advice to you first is to breathe and just know it's going to be okay. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, are the students safe? Are they having an excellent experience? And are you teaching them music? Those three things, you can kind of get through everything else. However, though, there is no substitute for being really prepared. There is hardly a time I ever walk into a situation where I'm unprepared for some outcome. Now, things will happen, right? But it's always easier to be like reactive if you're extremely proactive. So I hate going into a situation where I am reactive, because that's when errors occur, right? So on our team, we are very proactive, and by calendar years, even so much so that like we kind of think about every touch point in terms of operations and logistics and fundraising and PR, alumni relations, the creative piece. I mean, all the things. If we are extremely proactive, we're easily, well, things are just better and more, they just flow more smoothly, right? And things happen. We've all had them, right? It's just
Hmm.
how do you deal with those things? When you're reactionary, you're oftentimes emotional, you are not clear headed, you just make judgment errors because it's just
You're right.
right. But if everything else is well thought through, the systems work, the processes are well rehearsed, you can navigate those things because you also rehearse the unexpected. Like,
Right.
I know we do all the time. We are thinking about what if, then this and this. And if like we're not thinking about that, I think it's a disservice to our students. Where I'm at, we are a student centered operation. Everything is about the student experience. Sometimes that means telling them no. That's okay. But it's a part of the experience. If
Right.
I'm not prepared, it takes away from the student experience. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I love that. Um, speaking of your students, let's talk about Michigan. So you've been there 18 years,
18 years.
and that's a lot of marching band shows. That's a lot of experiences in general. I'm curious, what stands out in your mind? Like, this is the best thing we've accomplished, we've done the most, whatever. Like, what's top? Because you've done a lot of stuff there.
We've done a lot of things. It's pretty incredible. I mean, people ask this a lot when I go speak at various events all over the world. They ask this same question. I mean, and we've done performances. We've collaborated with Beyonce and the New York Philharmonic, Wynton Marsalis. We just did a concert with Chad Smith this past week, and I mean, I've had things. I've had words that I've typed have been read from the International Space Station twice. It's weird things. Like, we have weird jobs. But what I am most proud of is every day at rehearsal and no one sees it. It's the teachers, it's the students. We're engaging in the music making process. There's nothing better than that, and that's what I am most proud of. If a student has a better day because they came to band, win. If I teach them to appreciate art, win. If they got 2% better on their articulations that day, win. All the other stuff is great, but frankly, I don't really care about that so much. I care about the student experience most, and honestly, that's what drives me.
That's perfect. That's why I love you, John.
I just made it all up.
I love you. I've got a few more questions for you in different areas. First off, 18 years.
Yeah.
What do you want to accomplish now in the next 10, 12, 15 years that you have left?
That's too long, by the way.
5 years.
Anybody listening, I love my job. I want to retire as fast as possible, but I love my job. No, I mean, what do I want to do? Now, even still, like, I want to continue to give my students the best possible experience, which means I want to set the program up to be as stable and successful as possible. How do you do that? That's going to be kind of structural things. So you're going to want to build the infrastructure, not in terms of actually building, but you're going to create a financial framework where they're going to be set forever. Because we do quite a bit of fundraising in endowments, so that so the funds are in perpetuity. So having show design endowments that'll help whoever follows me create the best halftime shows possible, create faculty lines that are endowed so that they're always going to be there. Those kinds of things. Build all of that, have it be as strong as possible. My goal on that side of things is, as I leave, there's no other college band program in the world that has what Michigan has. That's my goal.
Man, I'll tell you, I think you probably already are ahead of everyone else. I
think so
in many, many ways. But the thing I love about this is that your purpose is to leave this better than you found it, and that the person that follows you is going to be handed literally the most incredible opportunity, because it really is. I've been to your rehearsals. I've conducted the band. I mean, it's just an experience like none other. It really is.
Yeah,
so
it's a responsibility. I think that we all have, and actually my predecessors, they all did the same thing. I mean, think about it. Jamie Nix,
except for Scott Borma didn't really do much.
Borma,
love you, Scott.
I love you, Borma. And Kevin Sedatal, and and Jim Tapia and Jeff Grogan. I mean, everyone left it better, right? So I just want it to be as best or as good as it can possibly be, But at the end of the day, I want the students to be proud of their experience from their own
Mhm.
perspective, and two, to have have developed a love for music and for art that they're going to patron for the rest of their lives, which means
Yeah.
they're going to get subscriptions to the symphony or to the ballet or to a hip hop concert series or contemporary contemporary poetry. Pick your thing. Go support art in the community because it's such an important of who we are as a citizenry, right?
Right.
It's critical.
Now I'm shifting completely different. Completely different. Directed listening model.
Directed listening model.
This is a book we co-authored, but
It
it
is.
didn't start there. It
Didn't it?
started much earlier than that. So will you talk to us a little bit about the genesis of that?
Yeah. So when I got to student teaching, I thought I was ready to go. Man, I was so ready. I knew all the instruments, I knew all the stuff, right? I get on the podium, I give this beautiful downbeat. I'll never forget it. It was, I was student teaching at the time with Bill Watson, and Bill, genius educator.
Yeah, I love
And
Bill.
I give this downbeat, and the sound comes at me, and I'm like, I have no idea what to do with this,
Yeah.
right? I say something ridiculous about volume or something because that's the only thing that I could identify that quickly, right? And
Right.
he looks at me, is like, I mean, and he's, I forget what he said. It was probably vulgar, but no, but
Yeah, I gotta love Bill.
but it was the equivalent of me trying to hang a picture in a house before it burns down. I got to get these pictures on the wall before the house burns down. Irrelevant. And that made
That
me
didn't
really,
matter.
well, one, scared. I was like, how am I going to do this? And two, I was angry that I wasn't fully prepared. So then
Right.
I'm like, you know what? I'll create my own system to be able to do this. And so I created a process through my dissertation at Oklahoma, which actually we kind of worked on because you were really helpful in that kind of editing process. But so that's how it all started, right? Because it was a balance of teaching myself how to uh, uh, take ensemble sound and break it into parts to
Right.
just be able to rehearse better, right? Then we took that, completely blew it up, and made it more better, than we kind of did, right? So we took it and we synthesized it between you, me, and Christoph to
Right.
have it be more accessible, more helpful, But that's ultimately where it started, and I'm proud of how it started, but I am monumentally more proud of how it ended, right? Because our product, thankfully, I mean, we have books on 5 continents,
Right. Yeah.
and it's been a curricular model at some institutions, which is great. And I mean, how fortunate are we to be able to
Right.
write a book about music and people read it? What?
Yeah. Absolutely. It is. I am extremely thankful. Well, I'm thankful for so many things, but I'm thankful for you, John, because that was an opportunity of collaboration that I am immensely. Um, it didn't just end up creating a book.
Mm-mm.
It created lifelong experiences and friendships, and people that we know and love in Germany. Like it, there's so many things that grew out of that collaboration. So I am so thankful to have had that opportunity with you.
It's
And
what is great too. I think is like we are helping teachers kind of think about these concepts in their own ways to be able to advance the art form. Right.
right,
That's exactly what the two of us are currently doing
yep,
in the sub-Saharan African project that is happening.
right, yep,
Like we're just taking it all over the place, and whatever we can do to help kids. That's
yeah, I
cool.
agree. Yeah, the direct and listen model. I just wanted to get some history out there because it's a book we wrote. I guess we finished that almost
In,
6 years ago
2020, yeah,
now.
we
Yeah,
published
2020.
in 2020.
Yeah, so it's in 5 continents and it's grown and it's I love it. I really do because everything I think now filters through that model.
Me too.
It just really does. And it really affects how I rehearse. It affects how I speak to students, the kind of language, the vocabulary, that kind of stuff. So I was just curious because I know like I've had people ask me about it, but I just remember thinking like as we were talking about Oklahoma, this started as your dissertation.
Sure
This
did.
was, I mean, you wrote this down and then it's continued to evolve. And I would actually say it's probably evolving even now to some
Even
degree.
now, for sure. And
Yeah.
now we
So
have to write the second
we have to
edition,
write the second
which makes me
edition.
want to go like this. But
No
it is
more
important,
writing.
and it is coming. We will do it.
How long did it take total to get that on paper?
Wasn't it
When did we
5 years?
start?
It took 5 years,
Was it 5 years? Man.
about. Hmm.
Well, it was a fun process because we did a lot of it in Germany.
Yes, we did quite
So
a
that was
bit
great.
there, and the first publication of it, we actually wrote a book we couldn't read. Remember?
Yes.
We
I have
we
a
seriously
copy in
wrote
my
the book.
desk.
The first one, I'm like, this is awesome. What the hell does it
Yeah.
say?
I'm flipping through like, man, I wish I could read some of this. None of it.
So funny.
I remember, do you remember when we tried to get the German kids to count numbers
Hmm.
in like eins, zwei, drei,
It was
and
swung almost. D
it
D
was
D.
swung because they go eins, zwei, and you
Yeah.
can't go eins, zwei. They will not separate them. It is
Nope.
not how the language works.
Well, we
We're like,
tried to
but
change
can't
the
you do it?
language.
Like, but can't you do it just for the music? No. Like we had to create something completely different for them. Do you remember we created like our own,
We
was it
changed the German
iPie or
language.
yeah,
Remember,
we changed it.
it wasn't well received.
It wasn't. So we ended up with the Gordon system.
There we go.
That's
Good
hilarious.
times.
That
Good
memory just popped
times.
back. That was fun, man.
That was
That's
fun.
why we need to write another one. We get to have all those experiences again.
Yes.
That'd be fantastic. Speaking of fun, John,
Yes.
what do you do for fun?
Yeah, this is an excellent question, and I have gotten like better at this. When I first started teaching, I didn't really have any. I mean, I didn't do much outside of work, and that has changed for me a lot now. I have the most wonderful wife ever. She is genius and wonderful, brilliant. And I spend as much time with her as I possibly can. My friends are very important to me. My family is very important to me. My hobbies, we like to travel, and so we travel with our dear friends, the climbers all over the world, and but we love to travel and see things and do all the things, but I've also done some things just kind of for me. So
Yeah,
I take two Italian classes a week. I hold a citizenship in the U.S. and in Italy, and so as a part of that, I am trying to learn the
right.
Italian language. So on Tuesday nights, that's my academic class, and then on Thursday mornings, I take a conversational class from a school in Florence, and my teacher is, I mean, she's in her 20s, pink hair, and she just beats the hell out of me, and I love it. Right. And but it is something for me. So
Right.
enjoy studying language and reading and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that having a social life is really important. Anyone
Right.
listening, the job can wait. Now, do your job, do it well, but at the end of the day, you've got to have an identity outside of school, and there's always going to be more work to do. Let it be, because you only live once, and unfortunately, life is short. So
Yeah. Well, your answer was better than mine from last week,
that's
so I
never
feel
true.
like I should shout
That's
out to
never
my
true.
wife, Teresa.
She's
She's
fabulous, by the
also the
way.
best wife.
Genius,
So I love
brilliant.
you, Teresa. Um, she's texting me
Yeah,
now.
LOL.
I'm curious, since we're on the podcast that we created,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what do you hope people take away from Common Time Podcast?
Wow. I hope that people are going to kind of reaffirm that they are good at what they do. What you're doing every day, you're putting in effort, you're teaching kids, you're teaching music, you're making the world a better place. So I hope that you take away from this, you're good at it. stick it out. Sometimes things are terrible, but there's a community of people here that are able to help you, first of all.
Right.
Then secondly, we can always get better and more efficient at the craft, right? So
Absolutely.
I hope that people listen and be like, oh, I can think about this way, or I can take this piece and kind of modify it for my own thing. It's kind of like we both did a P90X3, right? That
Right.
kind of workout thing, and they modify some things for people that can't do specific things.
It's true.
That's I kind of think of this as that also, just in a specific way, right? So we like want you to take these conversations that we've been having over the past couple seasons and kind of take the knowledge, modify it for your own situation, and make your students better, right?
Right.
And I think that those two things are my primary goal. But also, too, I think it's important for us to celebrate the success of our profession. And I mean, we've been talking with with like teachers, master teachers, and artists and
Right.
composers, and at the top of their game, and those people should be celebrated, just like every teacher in the public school, I mean, not just public, all schools. I mean, we should just kind of champion the entire profession, and I hope that
Right.
over the next couple seasons too, we can continue to kind of do that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember Teresa and I were driving to Dallas to see her family. And I looked over, she was the passenger seat. I looked over and went, I want to start a podcast. And we called you.
You did.
Let's start a podcast. And then we brainstormed, and literally, I want to say a month later, we just did this thing. And I love doing this. I love that I get to see you, obviously. It's great to always see you and talk
Always.
to you. But I've learned a lot just having these individuals on and hearing them talk about different topics and getting feedback. So I'm glad we can continue to do this, and I'm really looking forward to kind of where it goes
as
next.
a admission of guilt, the first podcast that I ever listened to was this one.
Oh, that's funny.
I've never listened to one. And when you said, "Hey, let's do a podcast," because we've had this conversation in multiple things, like, "Hey, do you want to do this?"
Yeah.
Not really, not really. But here we are, and I'm so glad that we did. I'm so glad you talked me into a drum corps, because at the Cavaliers, I said no. I'm like, no, of course I don't want to do that.
No, why
A
would we
decade
ever
later,
do that?
you want to go to Santa Clara? No. And then here
No.
we are. You want to go to
Right.
Boston? Stop this. But because of that, you met Teresa, and we love her, and that's wonderful. So, but anyway, so yeah, I have never listened to a podcast before.
Yeah, if you just said no to Boston, I wouldn't be married right now. How horrible would that be?
See, so you're married. I'm happy to have.
So thank you, John.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for
we
your
love
sacrifice.
We had more to say.
We had more to say.
We have no more.
We're done saying it. We just have a podcast now. All right. So we've come to this time in the podcast where we ask 3 questions of all of our guests. And
Yes.
I want to make certain that we give you the same opportunity.
Thank you.
The first is, Dr. Pasquale, do you have a soapbox topic?
Yeah, I do actually.
Here we go.
And I feel really passionately about this, so I have to set up a little bit. As a band director, it is your job to teach the instruments. Period.
Full
You
stop.
can do other things to all the skills that go into it, all the things. But at the end of the day, you must teach your students to play the instrument. And that there's just there's no way around it. And that I feel really, really strongly about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple of other ones, but that one is a big one for me.
Teach the instruments.
Teach the instruments, which also then means teach the music. I mean, you've got it. You have to teach the art. You have to do all those things, but you can't just do those things. You have to be able to teach a clarinet player to play the clarinet. That is your job, So I have many students that take my rehearsal pedagogy classes here, and that's what we talk about all the time. You can do all the things. They're important. Secondary to teaching the instruments, you have to be able to teach the students to play their instruments.
Yep.
And
all right.
And then secondly, sorry, since I'm on it.
Nope. Go.
You are never too busy than to teach the students in front of you. Don't take attendance. while the students are sitting in front of you. Don't do other things when the students are sitting in front of you. When they're there, they get your attention and they need your best. And that I also feel strongly about that too. So.
I love that. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any books that have inspired your journey? I stopped reading years ago.
Yeah, after my dissertation and after the book we wrote, this is going to surprise some people, I think. But I think, no, for me, the most formative book for my instructional career is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It is a book about military strategy.
Yeah.
But the lessons that are in there are applicable to every aspect of life. Yeah.
Very good. And our final question, arguably the most important question, Dr. Pasquale.
Oh, I'm nervous.
What is your favorite time signature?
Oh, there's just no question. It's common time. I mean, just common time, right? I just want to.
Well, I mean, I have to agree with you.
But my other one, very close second, really close, is going to be 7/8. I'm a 7/8 fan. We have a lot of 7/8s on this on these episodes, but I'm a 7/8.
We do.
I'm a 7/8 guy.
We do. I answered common time as well, and I think we should. We both should have said that. I don't know if I had a close second, if it would be 7/8 or not. I do really like 7/8. But there have been some mistakes that I've made on concerts before because of 7/8.
7/8, sure.
And so, damned if I do, damned if I don't. You know?
I do think we should get paid paid by the a meter change.
This is true.
I would do a GN festival every day.
That's true. I love that piece. That's the piece I would always use in conducting class to teach asymmetric meter. I love that piece. So, well, Professor, it has been so great to just hear from you and hear about you and your life and your passions and all the things. For everyone out there, this is exactly why I love John Pasquale. And he's my best friend in the world. And I'm just so thankful that that we have this time together. So thank you again, Dr. Pasquale.
Thank you, Dr. Clemmer,
appreciate your time.
Me. Thanks for everybody for listening.
That's it for today's episode of the Common Time Podcast.
And thank you for spending time with us. We hope that today's conversation will give you something useful to take back to your students and your program.
And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribed so you don't miss what's coming up. And if you know another director who might benefit from this, please share it with them.
Also, don't forget, you're able to nominate a music educator for our Standing Ovation program. The link to submit is in the show notes below.
Thanks again for joining us on the Common Time Podcast. As always, keep making music and keep making a difference.